Welcome to the recording for the third in our onboarding webinar series, Budgeting for EPR Fees. Next slide. Just as a note, the information that we are presenting here is not intended to be legal advice. We are not an attorney or law firm, so if you have any legal questions, please run them by your counsel first. And just as a reminder that Circular Action Alliance is subject to all federal, state, and international antitrust and competition laws, and so we will not be discussing any of the topics on the right-hand side. Okay, so this is, as I mentioned, the third installment of a three-part series. If you haven't attended our 101 or 102 sessions, we encourage you to do so. You can see the options on this QR code here, and we will continue to have these webinars up until the reporting deadline. So feel free to join any week that works for you. Okay. So today we're going to discuss a little bit about the producer journey, the national fee setting methodology, budgeting for Oregon in 2025, and in the live sessions, we'll have time for questions. Okay, so as a reminder, if you've been on any of our other webinars, you would have seen this slide before. Producers begin their journey by registering with CAA. Once you've registered, you'll receive access to our reporting portal where you'll upload the pounds you've sold of each covered material per state. After companies report, CAA will set a final fee schedule and invoice producers, at which time producers will pay and the program will begin in that state. The first reporting and fee payment deadlines are for the state of Oregon in 2025. Once the program begins, we anticipate companies to begin innovating in order to potentially gain future bonuses and reduce base fees or eco-modulated bonuses at a future reporting date. So today we're going to focus on budgeting and fees, and I'll pass it over to Travis to take it from here.
Yeah, thanks, Nikki. My name is Travis Pate, and I'm an account manager here with CAA. So let's talk about the national fee setting methodology. So CAA has developed a national fee setting methodology to guide fee setting across states. That said, fee schedules or the rates paid in each state will vary due to state-specific requirements, differences in the recycling infrastructure, and material supply quantities. So what you're going to hear us talk about a lot is base fees versus eco-modulation fees. Base fees are the rates, the specific material rates, and they're defined as cents per pound on each material. The base fee rate for each material type will be the same for every producer. And to understand how we arrive at the base fees, there's four key components. First is the total program cost. That's the cost of operating the program in the state based on the legal specifications in the statute. Um, the next is cost to manage each material category. So all materials will have different costs that cost impacts based on their quantities, the material properties, and the ease of collecting and recycling. Then there's the commodity revenue for each material category. So any value that's derived from the material is going to be credited against that management cost. And the final component is going to be the total tons of each material category supplied into the state. All of those combined together will create the base fee for each material. So next on eco-modulation, this refers to the process where fee adjustments are applied for by individual producers based on their actions to improve the environmental performance of their packaging. So these monetary adjustments are typically applied for in the form of incentives, bonuses, or disincentives, malices, on top of a producer's base fee for a particular material category. So each state has adopted different approaches to eco-modulation. For example, some states require incentivizing higher use of post-consumer recycled content or packaging that's designed for reuse or refill. Other states' approaches focus on reducing material weight or redesigning a package to remove attributes that can be detrimental to recycling. So CAA is working to harmonize eco-modulation factors across the state in as much as possible and to provide clear signals to producers when they're making packaging decisions. So eco-modulation criteria and implementation details will be included in each state's program plan. So let's talk a little bit about our guiding principles for the fee setting methodology. Key component of our fee setting methodology are these following guiding principles. So as you heard me say, harmonization. This is part of CAA's mission across all aspects of EPR. We're looking to harmonize where possible. Fairness, fee rates for each material category. As we mentioned, the base fees are the same for all producers, regardless of a company's size or sector. Um, the material specific costs, so fee rates reflect the burden a material places on the system. Commodity revenue, so as we said, some materials do have revenue in certain states, and we'll account for that in our fee setting methodology. Then those eco modulations we just talked about refers back to the process where fee adjustments are applied for by individual producers based on their actions to improve the environmental performance of their packaging. And each state has adopted different approaches to eco modulation, but CAA will incorporate these into the fee setting methodology. Then responsible end markets. Part of EPR is ensuring responsible end markets are established or improved. Fees will account for these costs. And clarity. So finally, we're looking to provide clear communication to our stakeholder community. So let's walk through the variables involved in fee setting. So first, CAA does a needs assessment to determine the total system cost. This would include collection, transportation, processing, uh, capital for expansion, things like that. We then allocate these system costs to each material type based on the burden that material places on the system. And we then give a credit to those materials that we recover, which do have commodity value. We also include additional costs that are anticipated based on factors such as administration, education, outreach, and other regulatory mandated costs. Then we allocate those across the total supply system. This is based on the data that producers will support. After the producers report, we'll be able to provide a fee rate back to the producers. And then once base fees are set, then we provide the bonuses or malices based on eco-modulation factors. So key takeaway there is that base fees are first set, apply to all producers uniformly, and then producers can individually apply for those eco-modulations bonuses. So on that first big variable, the program cost, what actually goes into the program cost? Basically, this is everything that we need to make the program successful in accordance with the expectation of regulators. So this includes aspects of both collection, post-collection, regulatory costs, and administrative fees for the pro. Due to these various factors that make up the program costs, fee schedules may not apply in the same way across jurisdictions. There's various market and state-specific input differences, including the scope of the program in each state, the types and number of covered materials, the expected performance standards, the jurisdiction-specific cost to manage each material type, the maturity of existing recycling system, quantity of each material type that's supplied into, and the amount each producer reports, and the eco-modulation structure and approach by jurisdiction. We've talked a lot about eco-modulations. Let's look a little specifically around how they look in each state. So in Oregon, producer fees will cover the cost of capital investment for service expansion and depot setup to service the residential waste streams, as well as management of commercially generated business-to-business materials that end up being managed under the EPR program. Life cycle assessments, or LCAs, of the impact of business materials will be included as an eco-modulation factor in Oregon. So bonuses will be granted for conducting LCAs and showing impact reductions. Some additional notes on flat fees in Oregon. In accordance with Oregon law, CAA has proposed a tiered flat fee structure for low volume producers. So these are producers with gross revenues less than $10 million or covered materials sold for use in Oregon of less than 5 metric tons. So producers who meet the gross revenue eligibility requirement but supply more than 5 metric tons may also choose to pay a flat fee according to the following schedule. So low volume producers eligible to pay flat fees will have the option to either report all packaging weights and pay according to the flat fee rate, report against a flat fee tier reflecting a producer's total weights and pay the corresponding flat fee, or not report at all and just pay the highest flat fee. All right, so moving on over to California, producer fees here will cover the net new cost of recycling service to California state residents. So that includes capital investments to infrastructure and technology. Fees will also cover special assessments to support responsible end market development and source reduction initiatives. So eco-modulation in California is required across multiple factors, some of which are the percentage of post-consumer recycled content, source reduction pathways to achieve source reduction goals, standardization of materials to simplify downstream management, labeling to improve customer behavior related to sorting and proper disposal, actions taken by a producer to accelerate source reduction and to invest in sustainable and robust reuse and refill systems, and finally, conversion to plastic materials derived from renewable materials. And then last here, we've got Colorado. So in Colorado, the producer dues will cover the net cost of recycling services to Colorado state residents, including capital investment required for service expansion, material collection, sortation, and processing, and improvements to compost facilities to increase acceptance of compostable packaging. By 2028, the program will also cover recycling services to non-residential entities. So eco-modulation in Colorado is required across 8 factors. Producer dues are required to incentivize the reduction in packaging, innovations and practices to enhance recyclability, high levels of post-consumer recycled material, designed for the reuse and refill of covered material, high recycled and refill rates of covered materials. Producer dues are required to discourage the designs and practices that increase the cost of recycling, reusing, or composting covered materials, designs that and practices that disrupt the recycling of other materials, or the use of covered materials that are not on the minimum recyclable list. So the Colorado Department of Health and Environment will develop a bonus schedule for CAA to implement at the beginning of each year. All right, so now let's look at EPR fee budgeting for 2025, and I'll pass it back to Nikki here.
Yeah, thanks, Travis, for that very comprehensive overview. It's a lot of information, so please reach out to us if you have questions. Diving a little bit deeper into Oregon, this program is the furthest along as there's reporting required by the end of March 2025. So we have a proposed fee schedule that can be used for budgeting, but we just want to caution anyone watching that as of the end of January 2025, the fee schedule is still in draft form. So as for all the reasons already mentioned, there's no way to know if it is a good proxy for estimating fees in other states. However, it could give you a starting point to work with. So in the December program plan, the latest program plan submitted by CAA, there's the proposed fee schedule and other financing information available from pages 190 to 206. And the program plan 3 is linked on the slide there, but you can review more detailed fee schedules in the Oregon program plan that has a preliminary schedule across 60 material types. And then as a last note on this side, there's a low rate and a high rate. We've used estimated values to determine these fee rates, and you can extrapolate from these values to create a budget for your company to prepare for EPR invoices in mid 2025 and beyond. But as with always, they're just estimates. They're not sort of set in stone. Okay, next slide. So the producer supply data is what's going to play a critical role in determining state-specific fees. The Oregon fees will take into account three key factors similar to the national fee setting methodology we went over. The first is system costs. So we have a pretty good idea of what that is at this stage in Oregon. CAA has conducted an evaluation of the Oregon recycling system, and that is a project called ORSOP, the Oregon Recycling System Optimization Project. The next factor is the number of producers. So we're still determining that as more and more producers register, but have an estimation there, as especially because we have a lot of the bigger producers registering already. And then the supply data, which will come from you, the producers, that we won't get until March 31st, 2025. The supply data is used to both set the fees and calculate your company's specific fees. For Oregon, that supply data is due on March 31st of 2025, and it's for 2024 year data. The final fee schedule will be published in May or June of 2025, and invoices will be issued in late June of 2025. So program plan 3, we mentioned, has high and low scenarios that you can use for fee rate estimates, but the actual rates won't be coming for a few months until after the volumes are in. All right, so please stay engaged with us. If you haven't done so already, please register. That's the best place to start, and that's kind of what gets you into receiving information from us. You can also access our Producer Resources Center. There's a lot of information on the site that can help you through the process. You can sign up for our newsletter, and then you can also email us directly at producer.support@circularaction.org. And finally, we have 3 of these onboarding sessions, so feel free to sign up for other sessions. They're meant to build on each other, but you can also take a topic alone if you miss one, or you can take them out of order. So, whatever makes sense for you, and you can retake them as many times as you'd like. So thank you very much.